Welcome to this video on how to play Dolly Parton's World on Fire for a World on Fire flash mob. So for drummers, bass drum part is so simple, but of course it's so simple I recommend that you do something like tapping with the other hand so that you don't end up speeding it up. This song really works nice at a slow steady tempo, about 90 BPM. And you start going faster, it's difficult for the vocalist to get all the words in, the feel isn't so great. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and... similar with the snare part, I mean, it's a classic drum groove as you hear in We Will Rock You. And actually if you listen to the whole track, the drummer does play more variations on this, but for Flashmob let's just stick to the basic groove. So as a snare player you're playing the 2 and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. To keep yourself in time, you might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or this could also be a good sound if the group decide to do it, to do your tap strokes. So there we've got drum and snare part. Bass drum and snare parts, but also all drums of this sort, you know, all surdos, all toms can do that part. There isn't a cowbell or a go-go part, but a reverse clave works really nicely. And if you don't know a reverse clave, it's similar to a clave but reversed. Guess what? So a clave pattern that we're used to is this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Reversed goes like this. You don't play the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1. And I actually don't have a go-go, but if you wanted to do that with a go-go you could use the 2 bells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Da dum, da dum dum, 1 da dum, da dum dum. So there we go. It's a short pattern, but I just did it twice. I've done these patterns twice, but they are kind of quite short. That's why I thought doing them twice would help. If you've got a shaker, it's just emphasising the 2 and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's all of the drumming parts. The really good thing about this song is that it doesn't contain many chords. In the choruses there are just 2 chords, and in the verses there aren't any chords at all. So let's look at the choruses. I'm doing it in G minor. It's actually in A minor on the record, but Dolly Parton's voice is quite high and it's quite hard to find a vocalist who can sing that high. So let's bring it down by a letter, a tone, so from A minor to G minor. And here's the chord of G minor, which I prefer to play on the 5th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, capo. It looks like a D minor shape in open position, and then the other chord is C major, and that looks like a G major chord in open position. There's a simplified version of it. In fact, I'll just play the simplified version today. So let's give you an example of a strumming pattern. So I'll just show you a really simple strumming pattern for it. Here it is. And again. If you wanted to do something with more movement to it, you could do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. By the way, I actually think it is easier, even if it's a harder chord, to do this version of the G, because it means that your 3rd finger doesn't move from the D minor. So I actually had a bit of trouble there because I wanted to do the simple G, but it turned out to be harder. So you can bear that in mind. Unfortunately, on the guitar, there isn't a really very nice way to play this without a capo. As there's G minor. If you know bar chords, this is a E minor shaped bar chord, which is all fine and good. If you know bar chords, and there's the C, which is a nice open chord. But it does make it a bit easier for the vocalist to do it in G minor rather than A minor, and also I think it's quite nice for horns who have different way of being tuned, so that some keys are differently easy and difficult for them than on guitars. Then there's actually 2 more sections, but I didn't want there to be because I think that it's much easier to learn something very quickly the simpler it is. So there's the A section, which is the chorus, or we're going to call it the top, and that's the liar, liar, the world's on fire, what we're gonna do when it all burns down. So then there's another section which in the original song goes, but I think we should just have those first 2 chords every single time, and that's the section that goes, tell me what is truth. So that is the chord of B flat and C, but they're power chords, which basically means that they contain the root note, the 5th, and another root note. And if that's difficult, you can just play the single note, like that. So that part sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, and repeat. So next, there is a third section. And again, I thought that it would be really great if we could just make that the same as the second section so that there's fewer things to remember. So the third section is the part that goes, whoa, can we rise above? And it's actually got completely different chords, but we can use the same ones again. We can go 1, 2, 3, can't we rise above? Can we? And so on. It's quite weird for the vocalist because it's different chords, but the melody fits, so it's okay. So we've got basically a top, which is the G minor and C chords, which goes with the chorus. So we can call that go from the top or go from the chorus. There will be this symbol for it. And then there's another section, and normally in drums we call that any other section is a break. And if you're in a song and someone wants to play the break that goes from that song, and they're whistling or directing, they'll hold up one finger, that's saying we're going to break number 1, and actually in this case we actually only have 1 break. So therefore, let's go to that break. So when you see this signal happen, or if you memorise the song from the backing track I've made, then you should be able to know that we're going to this part, which is the B flat and C. If you're thinking about frets on the guitar, that's frets 6 and 8. And that means we're going to that part. If you're finding this difficult, you could always simplify it to just this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or even more, just that would be fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. And that might be really great, particularly if you're playing horns or something and you don't want to do a lot of double tonguing or anything like that. Great, so those are the main parts, and if you're a piano player, hopefully you've been able to learn what the parts are just by learning the names of them from this guitar tutorial, and they're kind of similar if you're a horn player. Now a few words about the structure. So it's not the same structure as the original song. It's both extended and simplified in terms of the structure. So here are the things that have changed. All choruses are double choruses, so that all the choruses are twice as long, they're sung twice. 2 of the verses have been omitted, one of them because it's got very clear references to Christianity, and I know that one of the things we really like in climate protest is not to focus on one specific religion anytime that we might refer to anything like that. It can be excluding of people. So that verse has been taken out, and then there's another one that refers to guns and sticks and stones, which seems safer to take out to just make real clarity around non-violent protest, even though I think in the Dolly Parton song, reading the full lyrics, there's no implication of that, but it's just to if you heard like one line or one or two lines, it might cause kind of that doubt or confusion. So that verse has also been taken out. And just another note on the religious note, there's one word that would have been in this song, which is the word heaven, heaven's name, and it's been changed to everyone's name. So those are the edits, that's what's been taken out. Like I said, chorus is a double length, and the verses that remain are also double length. Another thing that's been squared up is that everything leads to a chorus. So there's a verse and then there's a chorus. It's a double length verse and a double length chorus. And then there's another verse and a chorus. And then there's a break one, sung over, and a chorus. And again, break one, sung over, and a chorus. And then we head out to a chanting section, which is followed by a chorus. So everything leads to a chorus, which it doesn't necessarily in the original. And after every chorus, there's a few bars of just drums, which also isn't true for the original. So it's kind of squared up the structure to make it so that it's more predictable what's going to happen next. Something, verse or break, chorus, a few bars of just drums, and repeat. So that's kind of everything you need to know about the pattern of how to learn the song structurally. The only thing that kind of remains is how do you get the instrumental players, the pitched instrument players, to come in and play the chords during the choruses. So where the verses don't have any chords, how do they know when to come in? So they might know just from learning the song, because I've hopefully done a simplified enough structure that it's simple to learn. But if maybe they're joining in on the fly, it might be good to have a symbol for that. So if they're all in one group, you can kind of just point to them, like there they are, and give them a signal to come in. Maybe count 1, 2, 3, 4, come in. Or it could be that you sort of have some kind of symbol that you tell them for them if they're all dispersed, rather doing strumming, and you can go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, come in, and that might just really help to clarify things if you're the one directing. So that's the basic components of the song. I think we can have a lot of fun with it. I think there's room for a lot of instrumental improvisation and vocal improvisation and singers bringing harmonies. I've tried singing some harmony with this song, and it really is very compatible with a lot of different improvised harmonies and simple harmonies. Nothing really clashes, it all really works, probably because of the very simple chords underneath. It also could be really nice to split a crowd off into singing the liar, liar, the world's on fire, and the what are we gonna do and what you gonna do when it all burns down. By the way, I've made a couple of mistakes on the recording. It should always be what you're gonna do, not what we're gonna do, which Dolly Parton does sometimes sing, but I think we should stick to one version for like a Flashmob version, and I think it should be what you're gonna do. So yeah, great. I'll see you out there on the streets, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this because the world's pretty much been on fire this summer, so it's a very appropriate thing to be singing and playing.